just making a pun when I say that Los Angeles has had its ups and downs, literally and figuratively. But probably the most successful and famous is this little trolley car behind me. Its name is Olivet, and it has an identical twin named Sinai. Those are biblical names chosen by the church-going ladies who lived up on Bunker Hill. By now, of course, you know I'm talking about the incredible Angel's Flight. Just 100 yards of railroad, but it ran for over 60 years, traveled over 1 million miles, made over $1 million, and made over 1 million friends, every one of whom remembers it well. You are my lucky star. Oh, I saw you from afar. We've had all kinds of rides in the history of Los Angeles, but the shortest one is the most famous one. So let's climb aboard for the ride up to Bunker Hill. I was starstruck, you're my lucky star. I'm lucky in your arms. You've opened heaven's portal here on earth for this poor mortal. You are my lucky star.
That was fun. My mother and father took me there when I was still a child. Rode up on it. It was quite a thrill. So when my little daughter was about 3 or 4, we took her on Angel's Flight. And she loved it too, and that was shortly before they stopped running it.
Well, as a young kid, it was exciting to be going up, and you felt like going flying. You're going up the perpendicular, and you look back, and it's over the city.
Right here in downtown Los Angeles, at the corner of Hill and 3rd Street, is the original location of Angel's Flight. Throughout its history, Angel's Flight inspired many Angelinos. Local artist Ben Abro remembers Angel's Flight like this.
Clang, clang, clang went the trolley. Ding, ding, ding went the bell. Zing, zing, zing went my heartstrings. For the moment I saw him, I fell.
And in this early silent movie, the words Angel's Flight are a source of great confusion for 2 young lovers. After 68 years of lifting our spirits, Angel's Flight was dismantled in 1969 to make way for new development. Instantly, it became one of our most beloved things that aren't here anymore. But wait, plans are to reunite us with our old love. Groundbreaking for the return of Angel's Flight, just 1 block south of its original location, is planned for 1995. And the moral of this story is, if we remember hard enough, we can bring things back. I'm happy to report that love and romance are 2 things that have not disappeared from Los Angeles, but a funny old romantic symbol is gone. It was just an elevator, but it ran to the 3rd floor of the Los Angeles courthouse. And that's where the Marriage License Bureau was. It was known as the honeymoon elevator, maybe because some of the honeymoons began before it reached the 3rd floor. But don't snicker, some of those marriages lasted longer than the elevator and longer than the courthouse. Mean streets are not something new for Los Angeles. Right after the Civil War, all the desperados drifted to our southwest corner, and this was the most dangerous town in the West, and there was no 911. So, this sign was posted on Main Street in 1865. It's gone, but I mention it because there seems to be a strong feeling we should find the sign and put it up again. Was Los Angeles invented for the automobile, or was the automobile invented for Los Angeles? And was it a marriage made in heaven or in hell? We'll see. But we had the wide open spaces, the year-round sunshine, no snow, seldom mud, lots of nearby fuel, and the restless urge to see and do. So away we went in our merry motor cars to make the first real driving city. Everything we see and do and say and are begins and ends with our cars. We were going to reminisce about some of the wonderful old drive-ins which aren't here anymore, but historian Alan Hess says they are more than nostalgia. They are culture.
Over the decades, through trial and error, through experiment, Los Angeles got to know how to design for the car. Buildings would be shaped for the automobile. The drive-in restaurants, particularly, which came along in Los Angeles in the late 1920s, really had their heyday in the 1930s. These were service stations on the roadsides for people who were living in their automobiles.
The drive-in menu was burgers, fries, and shake, but the delivery system was a beautiful, sexy Los Angeles invention, the car hop. Car hops aren't here anymore, but all of us guys miss them. Don't be offended if I say Los Angeles has the best and the worst architecture in the world, and a lot of funny buildings in between. We like edible architecture, hot dog stands that look like hot dogs. But if we miss all of those funny old buildings, maybe somebody ate them. I don't need to tell you that Los Angeles is not a real city. It's just a whole bunch of neighborhoods sharing the same name. One of our neighborhoods was called Central Avenue. And I know the avenue is still there, but what's central is missing. People stayed up late, but they also got up early because their community was the entertainment center of town. Certainly thriving, if not prosperous. Everybody knew everybody else.
That was the place to go to see your friends. But you walked up and down Central to see your friends and to see what other people were doing. And you wanted to be with them. And you wanted to celebrate with them. And there they were.
It was like the people from the Avenue had their own world going. It was wonderful. Nobody seemed to mention it much outside of the area. And now it was probably better than we all knew.
Down in the middle of the block was the Club Alabama. And Johnny Otis' big band in there with a stage show. Chorus girls and everything. T-Bone Walker, blues singer as the star. Across the street was the Last Word. I think you got the picture of it, with jam sessions going on. All the jam sessions at the time. Bebop oriented. And what made bebop so important, they would have after-hours jam sessions. When you'd leave the Downbeat or the Alabama, one of the clubs there, you could go down to Jack's Basketball on 33rd and Central, where you'd have Dexter Gordon, Miles Davis, Wardell Gray, all these people that would be down there. Everybody would be jamming.
Central was the place that we went to take care of business. We could shop, we could get hardware, newspapers were put out on Central. Central was almost like the main street in a small village. You could do anything there. During the time when Joe Louis was in his heyday, when he would have a fight, Central was quiet as you couldn't find anybody. Everybody was in their house listening to the fight.
One left to the head, one left to the jaw, a right to the head, and Donovan is watching carefully. Lewis measured him, right to the body, a left up to the jaw, and Shirley was down.
And whenever he would win, Central came alive. People would rush, walk, drive, get to Central to talk about, to celebrate, and drive up and down Central, blowing horns and yelling at each other. Oh, he won, and oh, wow. That was a big deal.
So there you have it. Some things on Central Avenue are gone, but the music and the memories live on.